managers with meaningful insights on how to optimize business results by aligning their people strategy to their business strategy. Our goal is to support you as you rise to the challenges of complex decision making centered around attracting and retaining top talent.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Strategic Alignment podcast. I'm super excited for as we're looking to close the year out, and I think what better way to do this without having my man in studio with me, Jay Moore, a friend, a mentor, a leadership coach and trainer, an author, a podcaster, and one whose mentorship for me has certainly changed my perspective on a number of things. And whenever I'm in studio with Jay Moore, and I don't know if you want to share it, but I'm going to share it anyhow. Once he's in studio with me, the floor is as much his as it's mine. So if anything happened and Jay Moore takes charge, guys, that's what we do when our mentors are in the same space with us. So Jay Moore, what's up, man? Talk to us. How's everything going?
Oh man, what's up, Jamie? Man, glad to be here. Thanks so much for inviting me. It's a plum pleasure to be here on the Strategic Alignment podcast. Man, every time we get together, man, I just feel the synergy, man. So thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Wow. So what's new? What has been happening before we dive into the questions? Because most times once people see that we had Jay on the show, they're going to be going back and digging through. So what has been happening new in your world that is fascinating, or stuff that has been driving you? What's been up?
Man, everything is up, man. God is good, and so all I can say is everything is up. I'm blessed by the best. And but for the most part, I'm just thankful, man. Thankful that here it is. Man, we're like days away from the closeout of another year. Like, wow, like I just remember like it was, like yesterday when 2022 turned over and we started, and now here we are at the end. So, really, for the year of 2022, it was really about a transformation for me. I'm not sure about what everybody else was doing, but I was turning into a butterfly. That's what I was doing, turning into something totally new. And I'm just blessed because, in turning into something new, what you discover is, man, you just start discovering yourself, man. You discover who God really created you to be, and all the magnificent things that he created you to do. And next thing like, what? You're like, are you serious? Like that's what I've been walking around with. And so when we started the year, I kind of started it out on something that I'd never done before, where was I would create a podcast every day, like every day, do it live and do it every day. And here it is day 300 and I think it was 61. Now I missed a couple of days because I wound up I caught the flu, and the flu got me. I think that I got caught a couple times. But you know what? Here's the thing. I still got 350 something days in. And what that shared with me is that anytime you set a goal, here's the thing. A lot of time the goals can be big. Many people right now, Jamie, are setting goals, or they're thinking about setting goals for next year. Here's the thing. The goal should be bigger than you.
Wow.
The goal should be bigger, right? Because if the goal is bigger, you have somewhere to expand to. And once you expand and start that expansion process, once you get past the initial hardness of it, like, just coming up with a new topic, actually having something to say. It's like, oh shoot, wait a second. All that stuff was available to me last year if I would have set that goal. So I just would say to every listener, set a goal that's bigger than you right now for 2022. Now, here's the thing. Don't worry about how to do it. Just show up every day walking towards it. That's it. So I've started, I'm almost finished my 2023 goals. And as I'm finishing them up, all I'm going to do next year is just move towards goals. And they are big. So even if I don't hit them, Jamie, I'm not going to be upset. I'm going to be excited. So that's kind of what's happened in the past, over the past, I guess weeks, months, that we've been in 2022. Now just looking forward to what 2023 has to bring.
Wow, that's awesome, Jay. And hitting those goals and setting them. Somebody said to me once, a friend of mine outside of New York City once said that a man without a vision needs supervision. And I think that is super critical at this point for us to have our vision boards and to set things and so that we at least have a direction, because as you know, Jay, you can be on the right highway, but you're heading in the wrong direction. And many times we are fooled by that because we're in the right cubicle, but it doesn't mean that we are producing the results. We may be in the right team, but we are still not on the right page. Or we may have the right manager, but we're not falling on the same line of rope in terms of what we're doing. So it's critical. So Jay, as we're looking to head into the new year and talk about reflection, I want to say something here. I know many of you guys know that this year I published my first book, The Face of Leadership. But even though that's not what we'll be talking about tonight, we have some goodies to share where that is concerned. But I'll share with you that in the process of working on this book, Jay, as one of my mentors, and we mentor each other. Every Sunday we'd connect, and he would share, Jamie, where are you where this is concerned? So one thing I like to share with all those who are listening, whether the live or the rebroadcast, is that find yourself somebody or a group of people who can be a part of your inner circle, so that you can share and they can also hold you accountable in terms of your goals moving forward. And now there are a number of things that we have both achieved this year because we held each other accountable, and we have that constant check-in in terms of where we are and what we're doing and how we're planning on moving things forward. So Jay, just jump into it now. When it comes on to, as the CEO of the Healthy Accountant, accounting for your life, what are some tips that you like to share from that aspect when it comes to those who are listening? Because many times when we talk about goals, we talk about our dreams, we talk about all those things. But at the root of it, of every dream, there's also a path that has to do with surviving, thriving. And we know that while the almighty dollar can't bring us salvation, it certainly brings us a lot of things in terms of life and living. So, as we are looking to close the year, as we are reflecting, what do you have to share when it comes on to that from a reflective perspective and the reflection that could help to take us to where we need to be?
Man, this is a really good question and a really good time to be reflecting, right? Because, anytime you can reflect and just kind of go back and think, where am I coming from? Where am I going? It's really good to just think about those things. And so as I looked at this year, now for those who don't know, like my business is accounting, tax, and money. And let's just leave it at accounting, tax, money, business. So just looking at this whole year and reflecting on some of the things that, I see in my business, not just my business, but the business of other business owners. And this is what I see in my business. If I had to sum it all up, business owners, at least I'm not going to say all business owners, but there's a really big population of business owners who, for some reason, they just don't look. They're not looking. They're not looking at really where they're going. What they're doing is they are doing some things, but they're not looking. So what happens is it's kind of like I was talking to somebody just today. Now, this particular business owner is doing really good. But I asked the question, and the question was, do you look at your profit and loss statement every month? She was like, no, not really. I said, okay, do you get a profit and loss statement every month? And she says, well, when I asked for it, I was like, okay. Doing what now? She's doing that business was doing good, into the millions, had really good profits at the end. Now she had a problem, which was it's the end of the year, and she was looking at a huge tax bill. So she's trying to figure out, I wish I would have known. She had an accountant, things of that nature, but she wasn't really looking. So as a business owner, and I teach this in a brand new challenge that I do. It's called the Good Accounting Challenge. And in the Good Accounting Challenge, what I'm sharing in helping business owners to do, part of it is to manage the thing that needs to get managed. So What I mean by that is when you manage the thing that needs to get managed, which isn't the profit and loss statement, it's the mechanism that creates the profit and loss statement. So what does that mean? That means if Jamie, if you're selling something, right, then you have to manage how that thing is going to get sold. Meaning at the end of the month, you could look at your profit and loss statement, but if you don't say, well, how many times did I present my offer in front of people? How many times did I do that? And we talked about that this year. How many times did I present my offer in front of people? How many people saw the offer? But here's the thing. The other thing that has to be managed is the desire of the people who need the thing that you're trying to sell them or trying to help them with. Here, and you know what? That was something that I had as a revelation. I was like, man, well, and that's when I started doing it. Have you ever had a revelation when you realize that, okay, I see this happening, but oh shoot, I need to start doing it. Like I need to make sure I'm doing it. And literally that was one of the biggest revelations I personally got in my business was that, oh, what am I doing that? Oh, I wasn't doing such a great job. Now let me start doing it because that is a huge problem in business. I had a decent year, right? Not as far as I'd like to go in the year, but at the end of the day, it was still good. And the thing is, as business owners, or even people who would like to be a business owner, you have to look. You have to know what you're looking at. And if you don't know what you're looking at, then that means you have to ask questions. That means that if you can ask really good questions, even if they sound stupid, right? It doesn't matter. You just got to have a question, and then you got to find the people who can answer those questions. So if a person's reflecting today on their business, especially their business, or even a job, like if you have a job, reflect on that. Reflect on, man, I wish I could have gotten this kind of raise. Okay, well, the only way you're going to get that raise, and I was just reading in the book where there was a guy, I think it was the Magic of Thinking Big. I think that's the name of the book. I'm listening to this book, and so there's a story in the book, and it's a funny story that this guy, he's complaining. He's complaining about the fact that he's not getting a raise, and the fact that everybody's getting raises, and I shouldn't be looked over for a raise. And one day he got the courage to go into the boss's office and ask for a raise, and he comes out still upset because the boss was like, "Show me why I should give you a raise." And here's what he says: "Well, because if you were to pay me more, check this out. If you were to pay me more, then I could do more." That's a problem because no one wants to pay you more so you can do more. They want you to do more so they can pay you more.
Pay you more.
So yeah, they want you to do more so they can pay you more. No employer, no client's is just trying to pay you just to pay you. Everybody's looking for something for them. So if you're reflecting on that, then it's like, man, how can I bring more value, to the table? How can I create an opportunity, even if it's a job? You can create an opportunity where you become not expendable, but you become more valuable so that you are not expendable. So there's so many things that we all can do to increase the value that we have, but it does start with reflecting.
So, and as I'm hearing you to say, Jay, is that as you reflect on, whether you're a business owner or you're just a regular member of a team, the question is, are you adding value to wherever you're working or whoever you're working with or whoever you're leading? And if you're a business owner, are you presenting yourself or you're presenting an offer? Because many times you're not in a position to present because you're not creating. And because you're looking for others to add value to you and others to celebrate or to reward you, you don't see the need to put forth any extra effort in terms of what you're doing. And sometimes you become complacent. And when you're complacent, then you're like, why am I not tapped on the shoulder for the promotion? Why am I not tapped and given an opportunity to offer services? But the reason why that is not happening is because you're not bringing value and you're not offering. Because sometimes when you are offering value, when you're going the extra mile, people will automatically view that as an extra offer because of the offering that you're giving in the services that you offer. For example, you and I've had conversations before, Jay, and people like, you know what, Jamie, I'd like for you to connect me with Jay, because just by what you were doing, you were offering more, and people like, wow, I want to know what he has there. What is it that he's bringing to the table that I need to tap into?
Yeah,
And when
absolutely.
you look at it like that, you ask yourself, why is it that in my position as a leader, why is it in my position as a member of a team, why is it that I'm just stagnant? Why is it that I'm not growing? Why is it that I'm not pushing things forward? Why are people not paying me more for what I can do? But based on what you're
Yeah.
saying, Jay, the question is it all in your head, or is it all in your office? Do they really know what you have to offer? And Jay, you hit me hard with that. I remember, guys, Jay and I were having a conversation one day, and Jay said to me, Jamie, you need to make an offer a day. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, what is he talking about? And the very same day Jay said that to me, I had a conversation with this guy, and the guy did not respond. He was just like, fine, that sounds good. And 3 months later, his secretary called me and said to me that, hey, I'd like for you to offer some services to my leadership team. And that was because I was willing to make an offer. And I wasn't able to make an offer if I wasn't planning, if I was not bringing value to that person, or they did not see what I was doing. So, Jay, I'd like for you to share how much a difference that makes as a leader or a member of a team when you not only offer what you're given, but you bring value without others asking you to offer that.
That's a really good question, man. And that was something that I struggled with this. I struggled badly with it earlier in my career and in my business because I remember folks would say, man, you just have to bring value. And I didn't understand what they meant. I'm like, bring value? How? Like, what is that? Look, I grew up in the 80s. And growing up in the 80s, you know, think we just learned different. So when I look at, I think, man, I saw somebody who was much younger than me in my industry. I'm just like, I'm like, wow, like much younger, like 20 years younger. And
Mhm.
but the thing is, they didn't have to learn the stuff that we learned.
Mhm.
Like they were, some people, younger folks have a unique privilege. Now, I'm only saying that just because, that's a fact. But here's the thing. I grew up in the 80s, so I didn't understand how value was created. We just thought that, yeah, you work hard. I was on the phone with somebody. Oh my goodness, I was on the phone with a prospective client 2 days ago. And we were having a conversation, and they had not made significant financial gains over the past, say, 20, 30 years, because they were a little bit older, and they hadn't made these gains. And I just asked the question, why? What's been holding you back? And it was it was a very interesting conversation. And what I realized is that there are stories that we almost just create in our head, and then we just hold on to them and just never let them go. But then there's also a story that you don't even know that's playing.
Mm.
Everybody that's ever been held back from something, if they had most people had a limiting belief at some point. And that limiting belief tends to play in your mind over and over and over again. And when I was on the phone with the young lady, what she did tell me is that she did discover what was holding her back. But it took a long time before she discovered it. And now that she can move forward, it's like, okay, now I know what to do. But let me get back to the value thing. So with the value thing, it's first thing is believing, right? The first thing is believing that you are more, believing that you were made for more. One of my mentors said, you should just keyword, you should create something that costs a lot. That's all he said. Now, he gave some price
Uh-huh.
points. And so everybody has to figure out, what is a lot? Is 10,000 a lot? Is 25,000 a lot? Is 50,000 a lot? Is 5,000 a lot? Is 2,000 a lot? Some people say, oh my goodness, I couldn't, 500 is a lot of money. It is. Not in my book, it isn't. So I'm using a lot because you have to create something that costs a lot first. But you're not going to create it. You're just going to create an idea. So if a person wanted to create more value within themselves, they have to reach up first. They got to say, wow, I wonder if, or how can I, like if you had a job, right? And say you make $50,000, how can I bring enough value to earn $100,000 a year? Here's the thing. Here's what people do, Jamie. The first thing they say, well, if I don't have this thing right here, I won't be able to do it. That's the first thing they do. I heard someone say it recently. I said, don't say that. I said, you just killed yourself. You won't be able to do it. Don't put any stipulations on whether or not you can do it. So it's how can I, if you want to get to 100,000, if you want to get to 200,000, how can I bring the value and get there? I can guarantee you, in most cases, you don't need additional formal school. You may need some additional education, but you may not need additional formal school. Education is simple. You can go read a book and get some education.
That's true.
That doesn't cost any money. You can go to YouTube and get some education. That really doesn't cost any money. You can go to Google, read some articles. That doesn't cost any money. Look at all the education a person can get, Jamie. And then they can increase their value because now they say, oh, shoot, I've never heard anybody at my job talking about this thing. What if I just start talking about that thing? Then all of a sudden it looks like you know more than you do yesterday. And you keep doing that over and over. Listen, I got in the business. I didn't have any mentors. There was no mentors back in 2002. And if there were, it was so new that most people wouldn't have done it anyway. So you could get mentors for almost free now. I'm just saying that's what YouTube is. You can get mentorship for free. You can read books of the mentors that only cost you anywhere from $10 to $30. So no one has an excuse anymore. Jamie, I've read hundreds of books, hundreds, and I've listened to hundreds of other books. So I buy books and then I put books on Audible so I can listen to them. And I've listened to them over and over and over and over. And that's how I personally increase my value. And here's what happened, Jamie. All of a sudden, it was like I was smarter. I was like, what happened? I was like, what happened? So I'm starting to say things and I'm like, I knew that. Well, it's not that I really know it. It's that it's starting to work its way in. It's like a seed, right? A seed gets planted in, and then next thing you know, it comes up. Jamie, I didn't always call myself the healthy accountant. And, and then one day I start calling myself the healthy accountant. And then I says, wow, what does the healthy accountant do? Helping people to account for their life. And I was like, I do that? And some say, yep, that's what you do. I've never done that. Well, you do it. Think about this. That was on the inside of me before I ever said anything.
Wow.
So once I said it, I didn't even believe it. But today, if someone says, what? Wow, the healthy accountant. What do you do? I help people account for their life and their business. Oh, wow. Well, how do you do that? Well, there's a series of things. And, we get on the phone, I talk to you, this, that, and the third. And I have a 5-step framework where I teach business owners how they literally can shift from being a wage earner, being a person who wasn't in business, all the way through, several steps in business that helps you to become more of a business leader. How did I do that? I read all those books. I did all that studying. And then what happens is you create your own thing. So if a person wants to create value and you didn't want to invest $10,000, $20,000, $25,000 into, now those are shortcuts, but if you didn't want to do that because you couldn't, reading, watching videos, listening to books. That's what's going to help a person increase their value.
I love that, Jay, because as you talk about adding value, you said something that is critical because when we talked about reflection and moving forward, and many of us, we hate reflecting because we have not added enough value to ourselves. So we don't even like to see where we're coming from and the fact that we haven't experienced much growth. And you talked about limiting beliefs, whereby as leaders, and when I say leaders and leadership, we're talking about leading up, leading down, leading across, and most important, leading yourself. Is that we have certain limiting beliefs that prevents us from taking that next step to even offer ourselves as whereby we can provide solutions. So we're not even willing to do that because whatever experiences we have had, we've allowed those experiences to prevent us from advocating on behalf of what we have to give, the unique talents and gifts that we have, whatever field we are. And then you make mention that we should create something of cost. And I think you nailed it, Jay, when you went further by saying that. But first thing we have to do, you have to acknowledge your current position. Because sometimes you want to add value, but you have to first say, where am I at this point? What is it that I'm doing? What value am I bringing? Am I adding value? Am I worthwhile being on the shelf? Or should I be stored in the back until everything is finished? Am I a top shelf performer? Or am I just an average giver? Who am I? Where am I? What am I bringing? Am I valuable? Am I the first person that they may think to take off the shelf when things go bad? Or am I somebody who they want to put at the front? And then you said, once you see those things, ask yourself those questions. Then the next step is, how do I invest in myself? And many times, Jay, I hear leaders who say this when their companies are not growing. I hear team members who say the same thing. But what you're sharing is that it is simple. Yeah. Start by doing simple things. Read a book. Watch some inspiring videos, and what you can't read, you listen. And in a short space of time, you recognize that you are speaking in a different way. You're saying things that are you're even surprised by, because you're saying it and you're like, am I the one saying these things? Because you're adding value, and then those around you automatically will be brought to a higher level because of what you're bringing to them and what showcasing. And people are like, Jay, I need your services. I need what you have. I'll pay the extra cash for what you're doing, because you are not only a believer in self, but you're investing in self.
Yeah, man, that is exactly the path, man. Because, man, I was talking to my wife last night, and we were just, we always talk business. We're talking about, where we're going, and, and I'm just like, there's no excuse. 2000, we going into 2023. Look, listen, when I was born, the internet was not alive. I'm just like the internet was not alive. When I was born, Amazon was not here. You know what I'm saying? Like there was no cell phones when I was born. And I lived half my life before it showed up. So I think about this and I says, wait a second. There's no excuse for me. See, at the end of the day, what I've discovered is, hey, I'm not pointing the finger at nobody, because I'm gonna lead me. What God gave me and you is He gave everybody a domain. Everybody gets a domain. Everybody gets a domain. Everybody gets one. And my domain does not interfere with Jamie's domain. My domain doesn't even interfere with other accountants' domains, because everybody's domain is unique, even in the same industries. And there's no excuse today. But here's the thing. Jamie, what's going to stop people from believing all the lies? Or how will someone know that something that's being purported as truth is a lie? How would somebody know that? I'm going to tell you what I've discovered, Jamie. They won't know. Because when you don't develop yourself, you have no basis of understanding things that literally you have to be so connected to there's a word, it's called truth. There's a word called truth. And this is not about the truth that I have or the truth that Jamie has. It's just a word called truth. And truth is like a straight line. It never changed. But if a person doesn't realize that truth never changed, then they will believe a false truth because someone told them it was true. Someone purported it was true. So developing a person's self, and I was just teaching this in my challenge. Self is that other side, is the side of you that's connected to God. Self is the side of you that's connected to God. Jay, well, what are you really talking about here? Self is connected to God. Well, okay, well, look. In Genesis 1:26 through 1:28, you should, like, everybody should take time to study that. But I'm gonna just kind of give some cliff notes right here.
Yeah.
The cliff notes is in Genesis 1:26, it says that God said, and he said, let us make man in our image after our likeness. And here's the thing. What is God's likeness? God's likeness is not this physical body that we have. God's likeness is the creative nature that he showed us that he had all through Genesis 1. That's what he introduced us to, his creative nature. So if we were to connect back with our creative nature, which everyone's creating something. Everybody's life is a creation because we create our life based on our thoughts, based on our words, and based on the things that we hear. And because of that, then a person could change their life just by realizing who they were created to be, which is a person who's creative. And if all you knew is that you were created to be a person who is creative, and you were created in the ultimate image of the person who created everything, who's the author and finisher of everything, then you could not look down on yourself. You would realize that the self that's within yourself is that little piece of God. Come on now. If God placed himself on the inside of us, come on, man. What? That's what he did. He placed himself on the inside of us so that we could manifest something that he desired from our life. Connecting to ourself is what was missed because we were never taken through that process. Even look, guys, I grew up in a Christian home. I went to Christian school. I went to, went to Christian, like I was just a Christian, church, all that stuff. There was no classes on this. None. Nowhere. Now there was Bible classes. So, we read the Bible all the time, but there was no connection to my creative nature. But how does one discover that? Jamie, it's growth. Wow. That's the only way you can discover it. You have to decide to grow. And then you have to say, you know what? I'm not going to leave this life without knowing who God created me to be and why he created me. I decided I wasn't going to leave this life until I knew it. And now that I know who God created me to be, and now that I know what God is asking me to become and the things that he has lined up for me, there's no worry. There's no more worry. Because now I know that when I live my life based on the framework that Jesus gave us in Matthew 6:33, where Jesus said, but seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. That's all I do. Seek first the kingdom. Whatever I need's coming. But here's the thing, God don't do it for you. Everybody should know this. God is not going to do it for you. You are going to have, you might have to work late on your business and you may have to go to work the next day. you may have to do things that are a little bit uncomfortable, but that's God saying, yep, you got to do it. I ain't doing it for you.
Mhm.
I've already given you the seed. Take the seed and cultivate it is what God is asking us to do. So that's how a person could start growing if, if and when they decide that those are the things that they would like for their life.
So I'm hearing you say, and you see, I posted it earlier, is that we were all created to be creative. Jay, that's tight. I know that's going to be your next book. We were all created to be creative, and many of us, we miss that mark. And when we miss that mark of our creative side, then we have limiting beliefs about what we're capable to do. And then because we have limited beliefs, then we find offering what we have to give a hard thing to do. And because of that imprisoned thinking, then we find ourselves not growing, and we move from year to year doing the same thing because of our limiting beliefs. And not only that, because we forget that we are creative, so we don't value what we bring. And because we don't value what we bring, we value what is said about us by those who are either evaluating us or those who have assigned us a task. And when we have that mindset, reflection becomes difficult, because all you're reflecting on is what others think of you and where others have placed you. And the level of satisfaction is not there for you in terms of how you move forward. So that's powerful. So how do we move that? And Jay has shared enough areas with us this evening in terms of what we can do to not just move forward, but act on that creative nature that we received from the time that we were created by God. And that's powerful, Jay. And I think if we move forward into the new year, and we have a few more days before the new year, and if we embrace that mindset, then it makes it easier for us to just go forward and say, guess what? I acknowledge where I'm at. I acknowledge what I've been giving. I acknowledge the value that I have inside. And now, even though I may not understand it to the fullest, I'm moving forward in a creative mindset, and let's see where it takes me.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's I think.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess to just kind of follow up with what you were saying, Jamie, is that if this is new for a person, right? Because sometimes, it could be daunting if you were like me. Like I was in my 40s, I'm 51 today, but I was in my 40s when all of this was introduced to me. And one of the things that could happen is that you could get overwhelmed with the fact that, man, I can't believe that, it took me so long to get here. And wow, man, how much time do I really have? Is it really possible now? Some people say, well, I'm too old. And man, I'm already like a person could be 50 now, a person could be 60 and saying, man, I might be too old now. And I even say this to my parents, and and my parents are much older than me. I'm not going to tell their ages now, but they are up there, right? And I say to them, I says, if you're still living, there's still something. If we're living, there's something left. Now, when we're dead, there's nothing left. So if we wake up tomorrow, that's your cue. That's my cue to say, oh, shoot, I still got something. God still has something for me to do. What if I don't know it, Jay? Well, that's your cue to ask. And here's the thing. The way God works is interesting, because God is not going to introduce things that are so new to you that it seems like you cannot do it. God's going to show up right where you are. He showed up to me I'm an accountant, and I did not know that there was more to what I could do inside of a realm that I thought was boring. I was like, man, this is, but there's more to it. But here's the thing. And then he says, well, don't you realize that accounting is one of the most important areas in life? I was like, it is? So yeah. He says, if a person does not account for their life, think about this. If you don't account for your spiritual life, Like if you don't have any goals, if you're not really doing anything, it's going to be stagnant and it's just going to be whatever. If you don't like your health, if you're not working towards anything and you're not paying attention to your health, if you don't account for your health, then that means that things may not look good, but what about the finances, right? Oh my goodness. If you're not keeping up with your finances, if you're not paying attention to all the nuances of finances, you won't have any money. What about business? Same thing. What about your family, your relationships? Same thing. What about personal development? If you are not intentional on all of these areas, these 6 areas that I live by, if you're not intentional in these areas, you just go anywhere. Imagine that. Imagine driving down the highway and someone say to you, where are you going? Anywhere. Where's that? I don't know. I'm just driving. So if that's the case, then of course, why aren't more people, I'm gonna just say it, why aren't more people rich?
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't more people rich? Why? Because they don't want to be intentional about it. They've said so many things about rich people, bad things about rich people. You hating on Donald Trump when Donald Trump, I got it done. It was so funny. I watched something by Dave Chappelle, cracked me up. Donald Trump, back when he was initially running for president against Hillary, and he was in debate, and it was so funny because Donald Trump in the debate basically said that the system was a scam. And so the moderator asked Donald Trump, well, why'd you say that? He says, because I've been using it. So think about this. Everyone's mad at Donald Trump and I'm just talking about, say, his money and his taxes and stuff like that. They're mad at him when he's saying, I'm just using the system that they set up. He's like, I didn't set the system up. So wait a second. Wait. Let's back up. Think about this. And I'm just being real honest here. You cannot hate on Donald Trump if you want to get rich. You can't do it. Because that means that you don't want to take advantage of the things that he's been taking advantage of. Then that means you want to, you do like paying too much taxes. Most people don't. When I'm on the phone with someone and they realize that they're going to have a huge tax bill and they didn't know about, how can I get this down? No one wants to pay more taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, don't hate on Donald Trump then. Because by hating on Donald Trump, you close your eyes to the possibility of what you can do to legally minimize the thing that you would like to minimize. So the intention has to be so solid that you got to then realize, well, oh shoot, I can't hate on those folks anymore, because if I do that, I'm hating on myself. Man, there's just so many areas that what I discovered, what God showed me, is that the opportunities for people like me and anybody, it's like just within the field that you're already in. Most people don't have to go back to school and get a degree in order to grow and become more valuable than they've ever been. Like it's absolutely possible to do it, even if you have no college education.
And that's so true. And as we had it here, we heard earlier from Jay, is that it's not difficult. It's not difficult if you are deliberate in adding value to yourself, if you're intentional about it. And once you do that, remember that you were created to be creative, and nobody will do that for you. You have to make that decision. But Jay, before we close off, Jay, what are some new things coming up? How can people connect with you on your website, on your YouTube channel, and some of the offerings that you have coming up for the new year? What are some of those things you'd like to share with those who are viewing us at this point?
Great, Jamie. Ben, we've got a number of things happening. You can connect with us, The Healthy Accountant, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. I think we are JCPA on Twitter. But if you just put in The Healthy Accountant, you should see my face, because my face is going to come up. Also, if you are a business owner, especially someone who someone who's looking to grow their business, and maybe you've tried different things, you've made some investments, you've taken some courses, maybe you even got coaching already, and you still feel like the dots haven't been connected. We've got the Good Accounting Challenge, which this is not a typical accounting challenge. This is the accounting challenge that helps you to connect yourself as a business owner to the destiny of your business, and then really focus on the things that matter so that you can manage the business that you really love. So this Good Accounting Challenge, you can get that and register for that challenge at goodaccountingchallenge.com. Goodaccountingchallenge.com. The next challenge is coming up January the 16th. I think that's when we'll be doing it. The website may or may not be updated, but that's when it will be run live again. And also, we help business owners in our traditional accounting business, legally legally reduce their taxes. So if a person needs to legally reduce their taxes, I'm actually offering something pretty different right now, just for the next few days. And it's a standard tax plan. It's a standard tax plan. There's 2 levels in this tax plan. It's only if you're from zero to $99,000, $99,000 in profit, and then from $100,000 to $199 in profits. So those are the business owners that we're looking to connect with. And standard tax plan basically gives you a blueprint so that you can avoid and reduce your taxes, shows you all the things that you need to know about the deductions. We also even throw in as a bonus training on just about all the deductions that's in the plan. And in order to get that, that's not actually on our website. I just sent that out to my email list today. But people can connect with me at info@livingfreefinancial.com if they're interested. info@livingfreefinancial.com if you're interested. And we can definitely help you get yourself set up with a standard tax plan.
Wow, thank you very much, Jay. And that was info@livingfreefinancial.com, right? So if you want to connect with Jay Moore, please don't hesitate to reach out to him via an email, or you could follow him on LinkedIn or YouTube. And you see, we have shared all the information for Jay Moore. So please, I'm telling you, he has really added a lot of value to Pottingers and Associates, and a constant mentor for me in terms of some decisions that I've made. And we're grateful to have you, Jay, and all the best for the new year. All the best of the new year. As you guys see in the back here, please, at midnight tonight, also just another offering. At midnight tonight, we have a 20% discount on the Face of Leadership. So those who are listening, grab yourself your copy of the Face of Leadership, a 20% discount. We'll be running this all the way through the 15th of January at 20% discount, because we want you to face your challenges for the new year with confidence, with a greater sense of awareness, with agility, and with energy and clarity, and being able to execute on the highest level. But guys, it's always a pleasure for us to be here in this fashion, as we share, as we connect, and as we say, guess what? Leadership is leading up, leading down, and most importantly, leading yourself. As you reflect, as you account for your life, don't allow your limiting beliefs to hold you back. As Jay said, look where you're at and understand that you were created to be creative. And once you have that mindset, then act on it. And there's no reason, Jay said, no reason for you to remain in the same place, because you have so many different tools. Listen to a book, read a book, YouTube, you name all the different areas that you can further add value to yourself. And once you add value to yourself, guess what? You can now offer exactly what you bring to the table. And don't wait until you're paid more to offer more. Go the extra mile, and people will want to get the extra offering that you already possess. Again, guys, it's a plumb pleasure to be here with you guys. Enjoy. We'll be back tomorrow night and for the rest of the weekend on the Strategic Alignment Podcast. Have yourself a wonderful evening.
Thank you for listening to the Strategic Alignment Podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please subscribe to our podcast by visiting our website at www.pottingerandassociatesconsulting.com.